lost inside my thoughts, and when I start to think, oh, the whole closest starts to end up on the brink. I tried so hard, but all these scars, they cut so deep, I bleed. I fell so fast from heaven, it's like someone clipped my wings. Now I'm falling, and I can't see the ground. Can we stop this gravity? It keeps bringing me down. I can't breathe, and I don't wanna die. Can we stop this gravity? 'Cause I don't wanna say goodbye. I forgive the pain you gave to me so long ago. Sleepless nights I laid awake just begging to let go. I almost got to suicidal thoughts, but you stepped in. An angel sent from heaven showed me how to live again. Now I'm falling, and I can't see the ground. Can we stop this gravity? It keeps bringing me down. I can't breathe, and I don't wanna die. Can we stop this gravity? 'Cause I don't wanna say goodbye.
But it'll be okay if you just stay with me, we can run from here and we can disappear and they won't find us where we are going, dear. So baby, hold on to me, 'cause I know I can make you believe in something that only we can see. Oh, so baby, hold on to me, hold on to me. When it hurts like this, we climb the greatest heights, jump down and have a fight, and that's all we'll ever like, but that can never change my mind. When it's good, it's amazing. When it's bad, it's uneasy. I wouldn't have it another way. There's no other way. Yeah. When it hurts like this, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, when it hurts like this, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, when it hurts like this. We hold each other high, but we fall 1,000 times. But I'd never say goodbye or ever leave this stuff behind. When it's good, it's amazing. When it's bad, it's uneasy. I wouldn't have it another way. There's no other way. Yeah. When it hurts like this, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, when it hurts like this, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, ever like, when it hurts like this.
And I've been chillin', watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our cloudlands when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding.
again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend. Ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. Here we go again. Call my bluff, I'ma be here till the end. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't wanna change, I can help you out, 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 I can help you out. Here we go again. Time is up and I'm calling up my friends. Ain't no wonder why, ain't.
Hello everyone, good evening, good evening, good evening. Let me turn down this AC here. Good evening, everyone. It is good to be here, to be able to share with you all. I hope that, I don't know why this looks like it's glitching. Please let me know if you're seeing everything clearly and if there's any glitches or anything. It looks a little bit better now. Let me just double check on YouTube side, make sure that everything looks good. Everything looks good on this side as far as the information. Let me just say a couple good evenings. Who is GR? Good evening, GR. Good evening, Lisa. Good evening, Miss Dolores. And Cheryl. Thank you again, Cheryl. Before we get started, I want to share with you I'm going to post something in the chat. It's a link I'd like for you to click on that will give you the handouts to our class. So please click on the link and it will give you the handouts, a handout for the class that we're about to have, so that you will have something to kind of guide the process as we get started here. I do want to get started now because I don't want it to go too much past 7 o'clock. I think we've had enough of a wait time for persons to be able to catch up with us and to log on. So make sure you click on the link that I posted in the chat. All right, so let us begin. Since you're all hearing me clearly, it seems. So let us begin, right? Now, the topic is 7 keys to getting and staying well. 7 keys to getting and staying well. The office information is on the screen, so feel free to use that information. Here is what the handout looks like, except that the one that I linked to you has the blanks already filled in, so it makes your life a little bit easier. I don't know if that's better, but at least it's a little easier for you. If you would prefer, you can also scan the QR code on the screen, and it should be able to also take you to where you can download the form. But it's probably easiest to just click on the link in the chat and download the form. Once somebody has done that, you'll be able to review and even go ahead of where I am in the class notes. So let us begin, shall we? We're looking at the 7 keys to getting and staying well, and the other 7 keys. The first layer, if you will, discusses the difference between sick care and health care. Now, before I go any further, I think it's important that I point out that even though the information may appear not to be as complementary or flattering to the established medical system, it is not intended or designed to be anti-medicine in any way. So if it comes across, where there could be an interpretation of that, please understand that that's not the intention, all right? Because it is my firm belief that the medical system has a very important role to play in healthcare, but it is not the only player in the whole healthcare spectrum. So there are other groups, other entities, other people who are also in the same arena, if you will, but we each have our own lanes, and we each would be best served staying in our own lanes, because I can't do surgeries and I can't prescribe medication. So it is not my place to be telling people to take medication or not to take medication. Although from time to time I do voice my concerns about certain types of medications. That is not to say, though, that I'm against taking of medication. But understanding their limitations is important. So let's move forward. Now, when we talk about sick care, we're talking about the focus of the system that we call the healthcare system. In other words, when I'm referring to the healthcare system, I'm not going to necessarily refer to it as the healthcare system, because when you hear healthcare, you're thinking about caring for that which is healthy, or those that are healthy, or catering to the healthy, which the system unfortunately does not cater to healthy persons, nor does it even seek to address the needs of a healthy individual. The system caters to those who are ailing, those who are sick, those who have an illness. And the system is designed to try to help those types of people. So it is really caring for the sick. And so when I talk about sick care, that's all I mean. The system that cares for the sick. Chiropractic, in as much as it may be good, it may be beneficial, and many people who have ailments do benefit from chiropractic care. The real beauty of chiropractic is when we are trying to optimize health rather than trying to restore somebody back to health after they have already lost it. The medical system actually does a very good job, or much better job, at trying to address people at that end of the continuum. So I'm going to mention what we call the health continuum. And the health continuum goes from the lower end of the continuum is death and disease, and the upper end of the continuum is optimal health and vitality. Wherever you are on that continuum is not really the most important thing. The most important thing is which direction are you headed? Because from time to time, we may find ourselves either closer to the top or closer to the bottom. But which direction are we headed? So if you're moving down toward death and disease, you're moving toward a direction, in a direction of illness. So that's what illness is. Illness is basically moving toward death and disease. Wellness is the opposite of illness. Wellness is moving toward optimal health and vitality. And so when we talk about wellness, we're talking about the direction in which we're traveling. When we're talking about illness, we're talking about the direction in which we're traveling. And so it's important that people understand that it is not simply a state of being. Wellness is not a state of being. Wellness is the direction in which you're going on the health continuum. Please understand that. And so it's not about a destination, it's about a journey. And we'll touch on this a little bit more later on. So sick care, or the sick care system, is really the system that caters for or caters to the sick individual. Now, there is a limitation to caring for sick persons or setting up your system primarily around caring for sick or the sick. The main problem with that system, or with a system such as that, is that you have to almost by necessity wait until something has gone wrong first before you try to help the individual. And so we find that persons who are sick, they have to exhibit some issue first before they can be helped by the system. So we say that the sick care system is reactive. Sick care is reactive. And we do not want to simply be reactive. We want to be more than that. Now, true healthcare, if you want to have a chance of truly being healthy, truly being well, then you can't simply wait for things to go wrong and then try to intervene. Because the downside of waiting is that sometimes something may go wrong that causes us to die, and so it's not something that can be fixed, or something may go wrong that is incurable, so it might be something that we have to live the rest of our lives with, or something may go wrong that is extremely costing to our health and well-being, not necessarily killing us, but can really put us closer toward that disease state. So true health, the first thing you want to do if you want to be truly healthy is to live a proactive lifestyle and have a proactive approach to how you do what you do. What do I mean by proactive? Meaning you want to make choices that will improve your situation before something goes wrong in the first place. And that is the key to being optimally well. Yeah? Making choices that will help you to be well before you are in a sick state. But there's a problem with the system as we know it. The problem with the system, the healthcare system, is that the system, well, one of the many problems with the system is that it is a system that is focused too heavily on medications and surgeries, when the demographic of people, the primary demographic of people seeking help in those services are not people who require medication or surgery, but they will end up getting one or both if they go to the healthcare system. I've heard somebody actually complain to me once and said every time they go to their doctor, the doctor writes a prescription for them. And I'm like, yes, but that's what the doctor is trained to do. The doctor is trained to prescribe medications for problems that people have. That is their training. A doctor is trained to, well, a medical doctor that is trained to perform surgeries where appropriate when somebody has an issue that they deem that surgery can help. So don't be alarmed when you go to your doctor and the doctor writes a prescription. That is their training. It's the same thing that can be said about a chiropractor. You may go to a chiropractor and the chiropractor wants to adjust your spine. If you want to go sit down with somebody and have them counsel you, then go to a psychiatrist or psychologist or somebody who is trained to do that. But when you go to a provider that is trained in an area that you have a concern about, that doesn't really make sense, yeah? You want to focus on going places that will do the things that you actually would like to have them do. And if you're not sure what is the best thing in your situation, then go with an open mind and see if the explanations that are given are things that you can benefit from, right? So that's kind of how I look at things. Now, the number one reason that people go or need health services is if they're having a lifestyle disease. That's the number one reason that people go to seek health services, because of some lifestyle disease, something that causes them to become sick based on choices that they've made in their lives. How they eat, how they move, how they drink, how they breathe, how much stress they're under. These are all lifestyle situations. And if you want to solve most health problems can be solved by addressing and adjusting one's lifestyle. So that is important. All right? But I'm going to show you very quickly the key to being successful in overcoming the current healthcare paradigm, which is a pill for every ill. If you wish to overcome that paradigm, then you have to adjust how you think. And the problem with how we think is that the way we think about health has been conditioned, and I say conditioned, in us over several years. From the time we were very young children up until young adults to older adults, we were conditioned to think about health in a particular way. And so that is a problem. We have to change the way we think, and changing how we think is not easy to do. So there are two paradigms. There is the illness care paradigm and then the wellness care paradigm. The illness care paradigm is based on thinking in the way that the health system taught us to think. And the wellness care paradigm teaches us to think in a completely different way. So let us go through them, shall we? If you look at the ads on TV for medications, it is all about how you feel, or how you feel about what's happening to you, how you feel about how you look. Do you have a skin ailment that's causing you to feel embarrassed? That makes you don't want to go out in public, you don't want to socialize. It's about how you feel. And they drive emotions quite a bit, because people make decisions mainly based on emotions and not based on logic. This is a known fact, unfortunately, in psychology. We make decisions that are more emotive in nature, emotion-based, not based on what is rationally true to do or the best option for us. So, feeling better. If we have a headache, we say, what pill do I need to take in order to feel better? We have a stomach ache, we say, doctor, I have a stomach ache, what can I take to feel a little better? We have something wrong with us and we call our friend at home and say, you know what, I have this problem. And I remember that you had this problem one time. Remember what did it take to feel better? You understand? This is how we think. What can I do to feel better? What can I take to feel better? What's more important than simply feeling better is getting better. But we don't ask that question often enough. We don't ask, will taking this pill make me get better, or will it simply just make me feel better in the moment? You see, if we ever ask that question, it's going to revolutionize everything that we know or everything that we do about the choices that we make for our health. We have to seek, what can we do to improve our current state of being to help us to get better, not simply to feel better. So that is important. The second thing is the notion of getting well. And I say the notion of getting well because people treat wellness as if it's a destination. And I alluded to this earlier when I said wellness is not a destination to arrive at or to achieve or attain. It is a process, it's a journey. It's a pathway from one place to another. So we talked about it before. We talked about illness being moving from optimal health toward death and disease. So you're moving downhill on that health continuum. And wellness is moving uphill on the continuum, moving from some disease state to a higher state of being, a higher state of wellness. It's not about attaining the wellness, but maintaining the wellness. Let me say that again. Wellness is not about attaining the wellness, it's about maintaining the wellness. Because wellness is the direction of travel. You want to maintain that positive direction. It's not about getting to a point, it is maintaining yourself in the right trajectory. So, simply saying, I want to get well, we need to move away to thinking, I want to stay well. I want to continue to do things and make choices that help me to stay in a state of well-being. That's what you want. That's what is important. Now, a lot of persons measure overall health and success in health, or success in different health strategies, based on how well people live, or how long, rather, people live. How long we live is not really a function of how healthy we are. It, to some degree, can be considered such, but there are many people who do very unhealthy things but live a long time. And there are many people who do very healthy things that do not live a long time. So how long you live is more a function of, what plans God has for you. Most people do not have the control of how long they live based on choices that they make in health. But what they can do is determine the quality of that life and how well they're living and whether or not they're in a disease state. Because when you make poor choices for your health, you eat horrible foods, it sets you up to become sick. And when you become sick, you become diseased. And when you become diseased, your health breaks down and you have a compromise there, which can result in you not being well. So we have to move away from that. Yeah? Not just simply saying, I want to stay alive, but starting to ask more the question of feeling alive. It's the quality of life that makes a difference, really. Not how long we live, but how well we live. And that is the key. And so if you notice very carefully, as we look through, we're looking at illness care versus wellness care. And under the illness model, it is feel better, get well, and stay alive. But under the wellness model, it is get better, stay well, and feel alive. It is simply a subtle shift. It's a subtle shift in how we think in order to get to where we want to get to. Instead of feel, get, stay, we want to get, stay, and then feel alive. Now, the second key is this, the truth about pain. Is pain a good thing or a bad thing? Oftentimes I would open up the floor to this question. Is pain a good thing or a bad thing? And have people get a chance to answer. So I'm going to do the same here. Please write in the chat and answer, is pain a good thing or a bad thing? Is pain a good thing or a bad thing? Let me give you a second here to answer that one. Is pain a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I'm seeing some answers coming in. Claudette says that it's a good thing. GR says it's a good thing. Cheryl says it's a good thing. Is there anybody that says it's a bad thing? Doreen says at least at the beginning it's good. Very good. Good answers. I won't say whether you're right or wrong, because really it's a matter of debate, really. But there are good aspects to pain, right? Certainly. It has a function, it has a role. And what is the role of pain? Pain alerts us that something has changed in our system. Something has changed and requires our attention. That's what pain alerts us to. And if we if we are careful and pay attention, we can solve a lot of our problems by just monitoring our pain. But there's a downside, and the downside is that pain is not very reliable to tell us when something is wrong or when something needs to be corrected. It is certainly one of the ways that the body alerts us, but sometimes the body doesn't alert us for certain things. So there are certain things that you can't trust pain to tell you, and that is the problem with pain. Feeling good is not equivalent to having good health. Let me say that again. Feeling good is not equivalent to having good health. If you want to have good health, you have to make sure that you're functioning properly. Your body is working the way it should be working. That's what determines if you're having good health or not how it feels. So feeling good is not equal to good health. Good health is a healthy function. So we now need to start trusting how our body is working and not simply how our body is feeling, and making choices that help to put us on a path of wellness rather than keeping us on a path of illness. So let us move through here. On this chart you can see there are some systems of the body. In fact, there are 10 systems of the body listed in this diagram. And what's interesting and important about the systems of our body is that they all have to communicate with each other. There's no system that works in isolation. All the systems have to work together. And so when we look at the systems working together, what we see is there is one system, the nervous system, that not only corresponds or communicates with the other systems, but directs and modifies the function of every other system. There are some systems that are involved in all the others, but they don't direct their function. The nervous system is the one system that directs the function of all the other systems. And so we call the nervous system the master control system of the body. The nervous system is the master control system of the body. Misalignments of the vertebrae, we call those vertebral subluxations. Whenever the bones are out of alignment, vertebra speaks of the spine, so vertebral. Subluxations, the word subluxation comes from the word that means less than a dislocation. So when you have a shift in the spine that causes a shift in the bones, we call it a subluxation, and there are different degrees to which a subluxation may occur. Some persons believe that subluxations are only visible on an X-ray, and that is one way of verifying that a subluxation is present. However, there are some subluxations. Okay, so when a chiropractor talks about a subluxation, generally speaking, when a subluxation is being discussed medically, it's talking about a positional error, meaning that the bone is out of its normal position. It is not dislocated, so the joints surfaces are still intact, but the bones are displaced from its normal position. So that's what a subluxation typically is. But a chiropractor uses that term a little looser, for good or for bad. But we include a couple other things with that. Because not the only problem, or the problem with bones in their relative position, is not just their location relative to each other, but also how they move relative to each other. Because you can have two bones that are, when you take an X-ray of them, they are lined up perfectly. But when you try to move the patient, or have the patient try to move, if you were to take the X-rays while the motion is taking place, you'll realize that one bone is not moving. It's as if one bone gets stuck on top of the other bone. This is also what we call a subluxation as far as a chiropractor is concerned. So it's not just a positional error, but also a motion error. A fixated segment is also called a subluxated segment in the body as it relates to a chiropractor and what we will do. So not only do we reposition bones that are out of place, we restore proper motion to bones that are not moving properly. Those are very, very important things to bear in mind. So when we look at a subluxation, this is what a subluxation looks like, and this is how a subluxation impacts our function. Looking at the different layers of the spine, there are 5 segments being represented here in this diagram. Of the 5 segments, the third one from the top, if you notice, that bone is not lined up with the bones above or the bones below it. You can see that. Also, what you can see is that the disc or the cartilage between that bone, the cartilage has slipped out of its normal position. This is what we call a slip disc. And that slip disc can cause compression on the nerve, or just by virtue of the bones moving out of its normal position, that bone may also press on the nerve and cause what we call a pinched nerve. So many of you would have probably heard that you have a pinched nerve or a slip disc, but did you know that a pinched nerve or slip disc is the byproduct of a displacement or a sticking or a freezing of one bone relative to the other? What we call a subluxation, and that is what happens. You're in a car accident, the car violently shakes your body, your spine gets shaken out of alignment, and as it's shaken out of alignment, it causes compression of the bones, or shifting of the bones, which can cause compression of the nerve, either by the bone itself or by the disc or the cartilage between the bones. This is what we see, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when we look at lifestyle stresses, they occur in 3 dimensions. They occur in the physical, biochemical, and psychological. By physical, I mean like traumas, car accidents, falls, that kind of thing. Biochemical is like something that you ingest or something that you breathe in or something that you put on your skin that gets absorbed into your bloodstream, things that enter your body from a chemical standpoint. Even water is a part of this biochemical stressor. And a lot of people drink regular tap water, and a lot of people drink bottled water. Those are not the best for you. I usually prefer some kind of a charcoal-based filter to be placed on your water. That's way healthier for you. Now, the third one is the psychological stressor. Psychological stressors include stressors of the nature of something that is emotionally taxing for you. So you have a job that is very demanding, or a job where your boss and you can't get along, or your supervisor can't get along. That causes stress that can make you sick. If you did not know stress can make you sick, stress can make you sick. But the healthier your nervous system is the better you can adapt to your stresses. Remember that we perceive our world through the eyes of our nervous system, literally. So our 5 senses is how we see our world. What we hear, smell, taste, smell, hear, taste, see, or feel. These are our senses. And this is the way we see our world. And if there's a problem interpreting any of it, then we can end up with an issue as far as it relates to how we cope with our reality. So it's very important to understand. All right? Very important to understand. Now, I'm going to talk about what we call the general adaptive potential to try to explain why it is that we get sick, based on the fact that it is our nervous system that allows us to cope with our environment. So the healthier the nervous system is the better we can cope. And so we will use an analogy called our general adaptive potential, our gap, to explain this concept. So we're using a gap to explain how we stay healthy and how we break down. Our general adaptive potential, which is our ability to adapt to our environment, is dependent on a few things. One is the capacity that it has. That capacity is determined by the difference between the lower limit and the upper limit of the gap, so to speak. The space between it represents that gap. The lower limit, the lower the lower limit is the bigger the problem is. The higher the upper limit is, the better the situation is. So if your upper limit gets higher still, you are approaching vitality. If your if your upper limit gets further down, it causes your body to move in a state that's closer to death. So you want to keep your upper limit as high, as wide, as far away from your lower limit as possible, because that's the healthiest that we will be. Now, what causes our upper limit to fall down? Environmental stresses. That is what pushes on our upper limit and causes it to fall down. The next thing is our own internal resistance is our own compensatory mechanism to overcome the external forces of these stresses on our environment, from our environment. So our internal resistance is what we need to overcome the external stressors. Now, provided that all of our life experiences exist within the boundaries of our gap, as long as all of these experiences exist within the boundaries of our gap, we do not get sick, we do not break down, we do not fall. The only time we get sick is if our upper limit eventually falls to within the range where our life experiences can now exceed our ability to adapt to it. That is when sickness occurs. So watch carefully. How can that happen? That can happen if either the external stressor becomes too large for the internal resistance to be able to cope, or the internal resistance becomes too weak to be able to oppose the forces of the external stress. So our internal resistance will falter, and as it falters, we notice that these two red lines appear, which signify points along where the external stresses of life break down our ability to adapt. And so we get sicker. For some people, it might be diabetes. For some people, it might be hypertension. It might be cancer. It might be any disease for some people, depending on their genetic makeup and what their weaknesses happen to be. So our goal is to keep our resistance, our internal resistance, as strong as possible so that our upper limit never falls to within the range of our experiences in life. And so that way it prevents us from ever breaking down and ever getting sick. So how does chiropractic work? The healthier our nervous system is the better we can adapt to our environment. Remember, it's our nervous system that helps us to identify what's happening in our environment. And if our nervous system is working efficiently, then we don't break down so quickly. If our nervous system is not working properly, then the slightest little thing might set us off. So we have to be aware of that. Now, because chiropractic helps the nervous system to function normally, we can say that chiropractic widens our gap, which is part true. But we do not want to give the impression that chiropractic is all you need. Because if you have all the chiropractic care in the world, but yet still you eat poorly, that limitation created by poor nutrition can override any benefits that you get from chiropractic. So you have to understand that there's more to be done. Now we're almost done now. We're at the 6th of the 7 keys. Key number 6 is identifying subluxations wherever and whenever they occur. To identify these subluxations, what we will need to do is have specialized technology to help us to identify it, which is what we've invested in. So we have specialized tools that allow us to be able to measure the presence of these subluxations, because there are certain things that will happen as a consequence of a misalignment in your spine. One is the muscles that surround that area, that control that area, may become taut or may become slack. So their tension will change. And so there has to be a way of measuring those muscle tensions, which this device right here on the right hand side demonstrates what we use to display these issues. It's called a surface EMG. And on the left, we have what's called a rolling thermography. a rolling thermal scanner that measures the skin temperature. And from the information gathered by that, it can tell us wherever something is off with the temperature of the skin. Because when you have a misalignment, it can impact greatly the function of the skin. All right, moving forward. What kind of doctor is a chiropractor? Now, this is a very important question, right? Now, I've indicated that chiropractic care can impact the nervous system function. So if this is true, then let us take a quick look at it, because there must be a study that demonstrates this. And the answer is yes, there is such a study that demonstrates that the chiropractic adjustment can impact the nervous system function. So let's show you very quickly. In this person, this lady was asked to wiggle her left ankle, and they took a picture of her brain before and after she was adjusted. When she was adjusted, what ended up happening before she was adjusted and they did the image, this is called a functional MRI, where you see the areas of activity are represented by the color lights that you see. The more lights that you see is the more involvement. And certain lights are more intense than others. The reds are less intense than the blues, and then this creamish color here is very bright. Now, when she was given her adjustment and asked to repeat the task, what we saw was an area far fewer in size, or far smaller in size, than the area that was present when she did the movement prior to the adjustment. So if you see lights in fewer areas, it just simply means that it takes less work, or it is a more efficient brain in this second image than it was in the first image. And this also is where the motor strip would be for movement on the left side of the body, in this case the left ankle. This is the right hand half of the brain. So this is exactly what we would expect. So because of that, as we are looking now, we now have to consider something here. What is a chiropractor and what do chiropractors do? So chiropractors are not doctors that work on the bones themselves, or doctors that treat bone problems. Chiropractors treat the spine specifically in an attempt to improve the function of the spine and the function of the nerves within the spine. That is the primary role that chiropractors face. And so you find that when a chiropractor does their work, nervous system changes occur far greater than bone changes will occur. Because we're not bone doctors, we're nervous system doctors. So if anybody asks you, what kind of doctor is a chiropractor? Tell them a chiropractor is a nervous system doctor. And that is because the work that we do as chiropractors will impact the nervous system far greater than it will impact the bones of the spine. I'm a specialist within the field of chiropractic. I'm a chiropractic neurologist, and every chiropractor is trained to realign the spine. But a chiropractic neurologist also learned how to retrain the brain itself. And by retraining the brain, we're talking about doing specialized treatments, adjustments, protocols in order to rehabilitate the brain itself. These are non-medicinal approaches. Now, sometimes we have to work with a medical doctor to bring about the changes, because sometimes for some problems medication might be needed, for some problems surgery might be needed. But we try our best to do what we can without having to resort to those things. Certainly we don't resort to it first. Now, what kind of conditions have I treated as a chiropractic neurologist? These are some examples of conditions. Developmental delays like speech, walking, bedwetting, learning challenges like dyslexia, where people they see things but they process it as though either letters are flipped or words are flipped or letters are transposed or interposed with each other. Behavioral disorders, neurodeficits, balance or movement disorders, and brain injuries. These are things that we work on, and we try our best to help persons in different ways, hopefully without medication, and oftentimes we are able to do that. Now, our vision at Gardner Chiropractic and Neurology Limited is threefold. One is to be able to identify subluxations wherever and whenever they happen, and we use our specialized technology to do that. Two is to provide a program of chiropractic care that is tailored for each individual. And that's what takes it so long for you to get an appointment to see us, and that's because we have to examine each person before we do any treatment. And when we examine the person, we have to now put a plan together to address their specific needs. And that's what takes time. And I can't have it any other way. So I apologize that persons have to wait a while to be seen. And then we educate our community on how to be healthier through use of classes like these and the radio program that we have. I don't know if you're aware, but we're on the radio. The radio program is called Back to Health Talk Show, and it gives us an opportunity to educate persons across a wider cross-section of people, not just my own patient base. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. The last key is taking responsibility. We have to take responsibility for our health and well-being. And the key to success in getting and staying well is for you to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility. It is our responsibility to make the choices that are good for our health, not somebody else's. It's not our doctor's responsibility. It is our responsibility. So please start making wise choices for yourself now and for your families, because a lot of people are making bad choices and making themselves worse in the process. So please, educate yourself so you can make the choices you need to make. If you visit our webpage, our YouTube page, our YouTube channel, you will see that we have some testimonies on there, some testimonials. Please review those testimonials because some very good ones are there. This one happens to be my favorite one, the one with Joy. So please feel free to peruse them. Now, for all of you who made it to this point, congratulations. You have made it to the end of the presentation. But before you go, I have to share a few things with you. One is, there is a special offer for everyone who was able to join us tonight. Unless, of course, you've watched the presentation already and have already received the benefit. This benefit is a one-time offer for our patients. Now, for appointments made tonight only, well, not quite made tonight, but you have to indicate that you are so interested. So you will make this indication by typing in the chat, not typing in the chat, but by sending an email to appointments@gcnjamaica.com. That's appointments@gcnjamaica.com. It's very important that you make you send this email off, or you can call the office and tell them that you watched the show. You don't have an email address, but you watched the show tonight, and that you want to be considered for the special offer. But this only applies to new patients. If you're already a patient, meaning that you've already had your new patient exam, it cannot apply anymore. But there's something else that you can qualify for. So, very important. Now, for appointments made tonight or indications made tonight, you will receive a 40% discount off a new patient examination and neurospinal scan. So that's a 40% discount if you're not yet a patient. which is a pretty sizable discount. But if you're already a patient, then you'll get a few things. One, you'll get a 20% discount just for attending. Automatically, a 20% discount off your update exam. Now, you don't have to send an email. All you have to do is just ensure that your name appears in the chat so that you can get that benefit. But even if you do not put your name in the chat, please send the email. In fact, you have your name has to be in the chat. Otherwise, you do not qualify. Because that's the only way we can know that you actually did log on and watch the class. You get a 20% discount off your update exam. You'll also get a 20% discount off one treatment per person that you refer. So if you refer somebody to the program or to the class or to the office, that person will actually also get a 20% discount off their exam. But you will also get a 20% discount off one treatment for each person that you refer to the office. So that's very important to pay attention to. All right? Now, I'm only offering 20% discount for somebody that you refer because I'm assuming that you would have educated them, but I give 40% discount when I do the educating because my education is a little bit better, I would imagine, because I know a little bit more about chiropractic. So this is the thing. 20% discount off your exam and a 20% discount off one treatment per person that you refer. At the end of your treatment plan, when you're doing a secondary phase of care, if you so desire, and we determine that it will be of benefit, you'll get a 10% discount off the entire next phase of care. So that 10% discount of the entire next phase of care is more dollar value saved than the 40% discount for the new patient. It's more money in your own pockets, saved in your pockets. So that's very important. Yes? Now, there are different ways to get through to us, and I'm going to show this to you. You can get through to us via the web. By typing in GCNJamaica.com in the URL, that will take you to our website where you can learn more about the practice, what we offer, the things we do, our opening hours, everything, where we're located, a bio for me. You can go to Facebook and type in GCN Jamaica. That takes you to our Facebook page for Gardner Chiropractic and Neurology, GCN Jamaica. Or you can go to youtube.com/user/Gardner Chiropractic. And ultimately, you can join us on a Tuesday night. Every Tuesday night, we have our radio program on RGR that is streamed on Back to Health Talk Show on Facebook. So just go to Back to Health Talk Show, no space, type that in the chat, in the search area, and it will take you to our page where you can watch whatever shows we have. These shows happen to be live for the most part, but they may be recorded by the time you log on. But we do the shows live every time, but they might be recorded based on when you log on. So it was indeed a pleasure being able to share some information with you about how the body works, how health works, how to make wise choices. Because if we don't understand how it works, we can't make wise choices and we can't inform others appropriately either. And so we get ourselves into trouble because we make bad choices based on what somebody else tells us to do as opposed to what we know to be best for us. So we encourage you to pay attention to your bodies, listen to your bodies, I want you to make choices that you know are helpful in your overall health in terms of whether it's nutritional habits, rest, recovery, reducing stress. These are all important to help you to restore your health. And then go and help other people to do the same. I encourage you to share the information that you got tonight with others, because it's only through sharing that we're able to make wise choices and help others to do so. So I'm encouraging you, please do that for me. It was good to be here with you. It was good spending the evening with you. I remember when I was doing this during COVID time, and I'd have to rush home after the thing to try to get off the road before curfew, or sometimes I'd be here for curfew. But the good news is that back then, you know, we had the privilege of being considered part of the essential services, so I didn't get much hassle. But yeah, it's good that those days are behind us. But I still think we are essential. So there you have it. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for spending it with me tonight. I hope you learned something. And please make sure that you send off that email in the chat that we sent you in the chat at appointments@gcnjamaica.com. And we look forward to seeing you very soon again. Have a wonderful night. May God bless and keep you.